Don't forget to check out and grab your copy of one of 3 football game plan books: What Did Football Teach Me?, Football, A Love Story, and Stiff Arming Football Myths. You can find them on our website at footballgameplan.com/books. Let's start with some keys to victory for both teams in this ball game. Looking at the Chicago Bears, first off, I think they have to let the kids play. I'm talking about quarterback Mitch Trubisky, running back Tarik Cohen, tight end Adam Shaheen. You drafted these guys for a reason. Allow them to get into your offense and make plays. That means running Tarik Cohen a little bit more, allowing Mitch Trubisky to throw the football downfield and more than 7 times, and finding a way to work Adam Shaheen within the passing game and into the offense. I think if they can allow those young guys to play, they'll grow together, and this offense will be much better down the line as a result. It's going to be important for the Bears to win in the trenches. This is an area where I think they have an advantage. It's going to be a strength versus strength battle. I love the Saints defensive line, but I also love what the Bears bring to the table from an offensive line standpoint. They're great in the run blocking department. I think they do a solid job in pass pro, and if they can win up front and take full advantage of an aggressive defense with traps, maybe influence blocks, things of that nature, move that offensive line left to right in the running game, they can have some success moving the football down the field against New Orleans. And the Bears have to find a way defensively to stay opportunistic. I love what they have going on at the second and third levels of their defense. Guys are getting after the quarterback. They're making plays in space versus the run. They're turning the ball over. I think their defense is built similarly to what they're seeing this week against New Orleans. So those guys stand opportunistic on the back end, and they'll have their opportunity to make plays in this ball game against Drew Brees in that passing game. Moving over to the Saints in this ball game, they have to remain bullish up front offensively. I love the way their offensive line is firing off the football. They're creating holes for both Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, and in the process, they're keeping Drew Brees well protected. So they have to remain bullies up front if they want to have a chance against a very good defensive front 7 in Chicago. And defensively, against a guy that has mobility back there in the pocket like Mitchell Trubisky, they have to remain contained on the outside. They have to keep him within that tackle box, force everything downhill. You also can't get out of position versus their running game. So keep everything within that tackle box and funnel it down to your linebackers, and that's playing winning defense. And also defensively, those second level guys have to make plays in space, both in the passing game and also in the running game. One guy that can cause a lot of problems for the Saints defense is Tarik Cohen. He's dangerous in space. And also, you look at a young quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky that will love to work over the middle of the field, the intermediate area of that pass defense, and that falls right in line with guys like A.J. Klein and company. Those safeties in the alley have to be able to make plays defensively at that second level if they want to have a chance. The biggest X factor in this game for the Chicago Bears is running back Tarik Cohen. This is a guy that's a dangerous game-breaking threat in both the passing game and also in the running game. And I believe he's the only player on Chicago's offensive roster that can really cause damage to an aggressive defense. They have to find ways to get Cohen involved early and often. And for the quiet has kept the biggest X factor for the Saints is punter Thomas Morstead. He's having a phenomenal season. Out of the 21 punts, 10 were down inside the 20-yard line. He gets great hang time on those punts, and they're facing a guy like Tarik Cohen that's a dynamic punt returner. They're also facing a young quarterback, and the best way to keep him ineffective is to have them in backed up offensive situations, because that, in conjunction with the conservative head coach and John Fox, will just lean on that running game, make themselves one-dimensional, and it makes them easier to stop defensively. So punter Thomas Morstead will play a huge role in allowing the Bears to play themselves out of a game in New Orleans. The key matchup in this ball game, I believe, will be the Bears running game versus the Saints run defense. The Bears want to come in and be bullish up front, and this is a strength versus strength battle. So you have Jordan Howard, Tarik Cohen, and that offensive line against Sheldon Rankins, guys like Tyler Davidson, Cam Jordan, all of those guys up front for New Orleans trying to stop the run. I think if the Bears can get their ground game going, it'll make life a hell of a lot easier for their young quarterback to operate off play action. I would say go ahead and start Zach Miller, the tight end, if he's on your fantasy roster. I think the Bears will try to get Mitchell Trubisky into a groove early, and that means the ball will come out quick, it will come out short, it will come out in the intermediate area, all of which I think favors tight end Zach Miller in this matchup. And I would also sit Jordan Howard. I think his running style versus the Saints defense is easier to contain as opposed to a guy like Tarik Cohen. I also believe that they're going to try to get Mitchell Trubisky involved early, like I just mentioned, so that means the running game, especially Jordan Howard, won't be as effective in this matchup. For New Orleans, I would start both backs, Mark Ingram and also Alvin Kamara. If you have both on your roster, whether it's standard or PPR, feel safe to start both because they both are utilized very well within that Saints offense. I would also sit Michael Thomas, the wide receiver. He's a possession guy, and I think with the way the Bears get pressure, the only opportunities the Saints will have in a passing game will be deep down the field. So I think that would take away Michael Thomas out of the equation and go more toward guys like Ted Ginn, Tommy Lee Lewis, and maybe Alvin Kamara. So I would say sit Thomas. I think he's not going to be as productive against Chicago. If you play fantasy football, you won't want to miss me giving you some excellent fantasy football advice to help you win your games and ultimately your league. Check out the Lineup Lock live show on the Fantasy Sports Network every Sunday morning from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Download the Fantasy Sports Network app as well as the Fantasy Sports Radio app. You can also watch us on YouTube Live by visiting the Fantasy Sports Network YouTube page at youtube.com/FNTSY Sports Network. I like the Saints in this ball game. Right now, New Orleans is riding a 4-game winning streak into this matchup. They're winning because of their running game, their dedication to playing good, sound defense, their assignment sound. They're turning the ball over. They're playing great special teams. And also, Drew Brees isn't turning the ball over at a record rate. So as long as they keep that formula, I think they have the seeds of success that'll continue to grow throughout the rest of this season. But right now in this ball game, they're just a better football team than Chicago. The Bears defense will keep this close, but the conservative nature of their offense, I think, will have the Saints have a lot of opportunities to put the game away within that second to third quarter area. So I think New Orleans will take care of business at home.